Why Parliament will vote on Princess Léonor of Spain's marriage. What if a royal wedding were not just a love story, but a constitutional moment, one capable of shaking a nation's political foundations, redefining the monarchy's future, and forcing Parliament to take a historic vote? Princess Léonor of Spain's eventual marriage is not merely a private affair. It is a matter of state. And when the time comes, Spain's Parliament will almost certainly be asked to decide. This is not speculation born from gossip columns or palace intrigue. It is rooted in Spain's constitution, its modern democratic history, and the delicate balance between monarchy and parliament that defines the Spanish state. To understand why lawmakers will vote on Princess Léonor's marriage, we must look beyond romance and into law, legacy, and national stability. A princess unlike any other before her. Princess Léonor de Borbón y Ortiz is not just another European royal whose wedding might make headlines for gowns, guest lists, and fairy tale imagery. She is the Princess of Asturias, the heir presumptive to the Spanish throne, and the future Queen of Spain. That distinction changes everything. As the eldest daughter of King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia, Léonor stands first in line to inherit the crown under Spain's system of male preference primogeniture, which, in practice today, allows her to reign unless her parents have a son. Her role is not symbolic or ceremonial alone, it is constitutional. Every major life decision she makes, education, public role, military training, and especially marriage, carries implications for the Spanish state. Why a royal marriage becomes a parliamentary matter. In many constitutional monarchies, royal marriages are subject to government oversight. Spain is no exception. Under Article 57 of the Spanish Constitution, the monarch and those in the direct line of succession must obtain authorization from the Cortes Generales, Spain's parliament, to marry. If they do not, they and their descendants may lose their rights to the throne. This clause exists for a reason. Spain's monarchy is not absolute. It exists by the will of the Constitution, and Parliament represents the sovereignty of the Spanish people. In other words, when Princess Léonor marries, Spain is not just witnessing a family milestone, it is confirming the legitimacy of its future head of state. A legacy shaped by history and crisis. Spain's relationship with monarchy has been anything but simple. The crown was restored in 1975 after the death of dictator Francisco Franco, who named Juan Carlos I as his successor. Juan Carlos played a crucial role in Spain's transition to democracy, earning early public trust. But later scandals, financial improprieties, secret accounts, and controversial personal relationships deeply damaged the monarchy's reputation. When King Felipe VI ascended the throne in 2014, he inherited not just a crown, but a crisis of credibility. Since then, Felipe has worked carefully to modernize the monarchy, distance it from scandal, and align it with democratic values. Princess Léonor is central to that strategy. She represents renewal, transparency, and a future-oriented monarchy. That is why her marriage will be scrutinized more than any Spanish royal wedding in decades. Parliament's vote is about trust, not romance. Contrary to popular belief, Parliament does not vote to approve or reject a royal marriage based on love, chemistry, or public opinion polls. The vote is about constitutional compatibility. Lawmakers will consider questions such as: does the marriage uphold the Constitution? Does it protect Spain's sovereignty and democratic principles? Could the union create political conflicts of interest? Does the spouse's background pose reputational or legal risks? Will the marriage strengthen or weaken the monarchy's legitimacy? In short, Parliament's role is to ensure that the future queen's personal choice does not compromise the state. Who Princess Léonor marries truly matters. For Princess Léonor, the choice of spouse carries extraordinary weight. A future consort of Spain would become one of the most visible figures in the country, representing Spain at international events, state visits, and diplomatic engagements. Their past, beliefs, and affiliations would inevitably reflect on the crown. This is not about class or aristocratic bloodlines alone. Modern Spain has already shown it can accept non-aristocratic partners. Queen Letizia herself was a journalist and commoner. What matters now is credibility, integrity, and alignment with democratic values. Any hint of extremism, financial impropriety, political activism, or controversial ties could trigger fierce debate in Parliament and among the public. Lessons from other royal houses. Spain is not alone in placing legal limits on royal marriages. Across Europe, monarchies have learned, sometimes painfully, that marriage choices can destabilize institutions. In the United Kingdom, the Royal Marriages Act historically required royal consent to avoid politically dangerous alliances. In the Netherlands, royal family members have lost succession rights due to unapproved marriages. In Sweden and Norway, royal marriages are carefully aligned with public expectations and constitutional norms. Spain's approach is particularly strict because of its turbulent past and fragile republican movements. The republican question looms large. Spain has a strong and vocal republican movement. For many Spaniards, the monarchy is tolerated rather than embraced. Every royal decision is filtered through a larger question. Does Spain still need a king, or a queen, at all? Princess Léonor's marriage could reignite this debate. A poorly received match could provide ammunition to Republican parties calling for a referendum on abolishing the monarchy. A well-received marriage, by contrast, could reinforce the crown's relevance for a new generation. Parliament's vote, therefore, is not just procedural. It is symbolic, a public endorsement of continuity. The role of political parties. When the time comes, the parliamentary vote will likely expose political fault lines. Center-right parties traditionally support the monarchy as a stabilizing institution. Left-wing and regional parties often question the monarchy's relevance or oppose it outright. Separatist parties, particularly in Catalonia and the Basque Country, may use the vote to challenge the legitimacy of the Spanish state itself. This means Princess Léonor's marriage could become a political battlefield, even if no one questions her personally. Timing is everything. Princess Léonor is still completing her military training and academic formation, carefully preparing for her future role. Any discussion of marriage remains hypothetical, for now. But timing will matter enormously. A marriage announced during political instability, economic crisis, or territorial tensions could complicate parliamentary approval. Conversely, a period of national confidence and unity would likely ease the process. The royal household is acutely aware of this. Nothing about Léonor's future will be rushed. The quiet hand of King Felipe VI. Behind the scenes, King Felipe VI's influence will be decisive. As a monarch who deeply respects constitutional boundaries, Felipe understands that his daughter's marriage must be beyond reproach. He will likely ensure that any future partner for Léonor is discreetly vetted long before Parliament is ever asked to vote. Philippe's own marriage to Queen Letizia, once controversial, proved that modern choices can succeed when handled with transparency and dignity. That lesson will guide him as a father and as a king. Public opinion will shape parliamentary courage. Although Parliament votes independently, lawmakers are not immune to public sentiment. A popular Princess Léonor, admired for her seriousness, preparation, and sense of duty, enjoys considerable goodwill. If the public broadly supports her choice of partner, few politicians will risk opposing it openly. However, if controversy arises, the vote could become a test of political courage and opportunism. What happens if Parliament says no? This is the question few like to ask, but it matters. If Parliament were to refuse authorization, Princess Léonor would face an impossible choice. Proceed with the marriage and renounce her rights to the throne, or abandon the relationship in favor of her constitutional duty. Either outcome would send shockwaves through Spain. Such a scenario would challenge the monarchy's human face and fuel arguments that the institution is incompatible with modern personal freedoms. That is precisely why every effort will be made to avoid such a confrontation. A future queen under modern scrutiny. Princess Léonor is growing up in an age of relentless media attention, social networks, and instant judgment. Unlike monarchs of the past, she will not be granted privacy simply because of her title. Her marriage will be dissected not just by politicians and historians, but by millions of citizens who see her as a symbol of Spain's future. Parliament's vote will reflect that collective gaze. More than a wedding, a constitutional moment. When Parliament eventually votes on Princess Léonor's marriage, it will not be voting on love. It will be voting on the future of the Spanish monarchy, the stability of the constitutional system, the relationship between tradition and modernity, the trust between crown and people. In that moment, a deeply personal decision will become a national act. The enduring power of one choice. History shows us that royal marriages can define eras. Some strengthen crowns, others hasten their fall. Princess Léonor's future marriage will be remembered not for the dress she wears or the guests who attend, but for the constitutional path it affirms, or challenges. And when Spain's parliament raises its hands to vote, it will be deciding far more than a royal union. It will be deciding what kind of monarchy, and what kind of country, Spain wants to be. That is why Parliament will vote on Princess Léonor of Spain's marriage. And that is why the world will be watching.